Hello, I'm Ashley Walter from the Baxter Center for Science Education, a partnership between Baxter International Foundation, Lindblom Math and Science Academy in Chicago Public Schools, Round Lake High School in Round Lake, Illinois, and the Office of Community Education Partnerships at Northwestern University. My role is to support life science teachers both in and out of the classroom through professional development opportunities, an equipment loaner program, and through direct assistance. Given everything going on in the world, we've decided to try out some new formats for our professional learning, and we're really happy to introduce our new Baxter Center video and meetup series. Every Wednesday, we plan to release a short video on a topic that's of interest to teachers, and then to host a virtual meetup the next day on Thursday for teachers to have a place to discuss what they're hearing and just have some space to kind of talk with each other about what they're seeing with remote learning with their students, and to share best practices around a given subject. We hope this will be a chance for you to share what's working for you and what's not working for you with your colleagues across different schools. This week, we're very happy to host Dr. Jen Richards from Northwestern University. She and I are going to talk with you about what educational research has shown to be best practices and best principles around remote learning for students.
Yeah, thanks, Ash. Hi there. We really do hope you're as well as possible at this time and are experiencing care and grace for your whole selves and your communities. Like Ashley said, we're coming to you today from our respective homes to join a conversation on a topic I think a lot of us are trying to figure out these days, which is what are some guideposts for transitioning to online teaching in K-12, especially with the speed at which we're needing to do that. So as Ashley said, I'm Jen Richards. I'm an educational researcher at Northwestern University, and I primarily focus on supporting teachers and science teaching and learning specifically. Today we want to share some of what we're learning from research about online teaching and learning in K-12. This is a pretty new area for both of us and definitely a work in progress, as I imagine lots of things are for all of us these days. But so far we've seen some ideas that are recurring across the literature that we've read. And so today we'll share 5 key principles for K-12 online teaching in about 5 minutes. So without further ado, the first thing that we came across that was really emphasized in a number of studies is that presence and responsiveness to students is critical when distanced. While this is always true, studies are emphasizing that it takes on extra importance when students are engaged in remote learning that is more asynchronous and independent than they may be used to, especially at this particular juncture. So different practical tips here include giving timely feedback or responses to what students share, reaching out to check in with students and caregivers individually, providing multiple approved ways to contact you that both work for you and are approved by your school and your district, and setting regular office hours to meet with students.
The second principle that came up quite a bit in our readings was to try to support students in interacting with each other while modeling good online communication. So good online communication is really key. It's clear, it's concise, it's positive in nature. Since you have a lot less of the nonverbal cues and opportunities to really clear up miscommunications when they happen, when you're communicating online, you want to be very careful and deliberate in how you phrase everything and to kind of help your students think about what that looks like too. So some examples of supporting student interaction online in this new remote learning environment include things like maybe you want to hold a virtual meeting for elementary students in the morning. So you can have everybody on a Zoom call or whatever platform is appropriate for your students. For older students, you can use a Google document as a place for students to chat with each other during an online teacher lecture or to interact asynchronously about whatever assignment you've given them. And it's a place for them to provide feedback on each other's work. So it's really important that you follow your school and district's guidelines about what is an approved form of communication. It's also important to take some time to set some norms with your students around what good remote communication looks like. And, you know, it might even be useful to provide them with some things like sentence stems to help them really have productive conversations online. It takes a little bit of practice, but if you set really clear norms and work with them and scaffold the conversations, you can have meaningful conversations with your students, even in this new situation. So it's really important to kind of keep them communicating with each other as well as with you.
Mhm. Third, as possible, you're seeing that providing learning and assessment opportunities in a variety of formats and modalities is important at this time. Providing variety and also providing student choice as possible can help students interact with content multiple times and also in multiple ways. And it's also a matter of access, since students may have different strengths, responsibilities, and constraints where they're engaging at distance. Pragmatically, inviting students to turn something in as a voice memo versus a written document, for example, could help more students engage in ways that work for them right now.
Fourth is to really center community and personalization. So this might look like you just being open to appropriate but non-content related talk in an online setting and using a personal conversational tone with students. It can also take the form of maybe you want to introduce your dogs or your cats, just something to make it feel more personal. Because when you first start remote learning, it can feel very impersonal for your students, and they're used to you being a big part of their lives on a daily basis. So you want to make sure that they still feel that connection in ways that are appropriate online. So do what you can to kind of help your students still feel connected with each other and also with you. And the more that we can connect and just remember that we're all people working together to get through something that's kind of unusual, the better. So.
Totally. And fifth, consider inviting students into personal goal setting and reflection as they transition to this new online space, remote learning way of interacting for themselves. Several studies have shown that naming concrete, reasonable goals and reflecting on progress toward them can support learning and persistence in more self-paced environments like what we're seeing today. And this can also be a real concrete way for you to both connect with and support students. So there we have it, 5 and about 5. They're all up on the screen now. And something that really stood out to us as we were reading is that these principles feel familiar. They connect to what happens in classrooms every day, but they also take on particular importance in online settings. And I think we'll benefit from all of our creativity as we think of different ways to enact them.
All right, so we wanted to end with 3 different, like really simple things that you can try or you can consider trying with your students this week if you have the capacity. Number 1 is to decide on multiple approved ways for your students and parents to contact you and communicate with you, and then to communicate that out in multiple ways. So you want to make sure that your teacher or your students and parents have different ways to contact you and make sure that they're aware of that. Number 2, try starting a class conversation on a Google Doc or another approved shared online space. So just to get your students talking with each other and talking with you in some new formats. It's a good, easy way to kind of get that classroom conversation going again. Number 3 is to try naming multiple ways for a student to engage in an assignment. So they've got a lot of stuff going on in their lives right now, and giving some flexibility in how they complete assignments can be really helpful. So maybe you give them an assignment and you let them, they can respond to you in written form, or they can make a video, or maybe a PowerPoint or an audio message. It can be really fun to see what they come up with. As you are well aware, your students are very creative. So giving them multiple ways to engage with your lessons can be really important at this time. So we'd like to invite you to a discussion on Thursday, April 9th at 2 to 2:30 on Zoom. We want to Jen and I will be available to answer your questions and to talk a little more deeply, but we also really want to give you some space to talk with your colleagues and see what the transition to remote learning looks like for them and what is really working for their students and what isn't, and just give you guys some time to kind of get together and share that. So you can find the connection information both on the screen right now, but it will also be in an email that we send out. It'll be on our website, which is bcse.northwestern.edu. And we also wanted to model our best science practices and just show you, like, here's the reference list that we put together. This is what we were reviewing when we were looking for 5 principles to bring to you. We have put together a document that's going to be listed in the same place as the Zoom meetup, and we'll share it with you, that has all of these reference documents listed and then has the 5 principles as we put together. So we'll share that with you. Beyond that, please feel free to reach out with any questions or comments. The easiest way to get a hold of us is at bcse@northwestern.edu. You can also visit our website. We're really looking forward to seeing you on the Zoom meetup tomorrow. And until then, just stay well, take care of yourself and your families, and remember to take some time and really appreciate the amazing job you're all doing in transferring to remote learning in such a small amount of time. Like, this was not a small ask, and everyone has really risen to the challenge. It's amazing to see the work you're doing. So take some time and really pat yourself on the back. And we look forward to seeing you tomorrow.
You bet. Thank you all.
Thank you very much.